Hello and welcome to the Lord's Brewing Co. YouTube channel. And today I have with me Lee Alderman from Zephyr Bar and Kitchen in Huddersfield. How are you doing, Lee?
All right, John. Good evening.
And my YouTube channel on the other screen has just started randomly. So who we got in the comments? We got Window Beer Review with Thomas and Beer Wonder. How you doing, guys? We got 3 likes already. That's nice. So that's a good start.
It's a good start. What we're getting, but it's a good start.
That's it. So, Lee, tell us a bit about Zephyr and how you came to have a bar. What was your background before?
Before bar world, very different. But I've been running bars for a long time. Well, relatively long time now. I started my first business with a bar back in 2003-04.
Right.
So a while, and that was in Huddersfield, and it was Zephyr. If you know Huddersfield, it was down on King Street, towards the university, and I started that up from a derelict, tiny little building that was wet walls, didn't even have a staircase to get upstairs. So I went to an old yard and convinced them to sell me this external fire escape, which I turned into a internal spiral staircase.
That's still there, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that literally, when I took it on, there was where they had built the Kingsgate, they had kind of like smashed into the back of this old building and used part of the back of the building for a fire escape from the Kingsgate, and it was all obviously walled off, but it meant that the actual staircase, that the original staircase for the building, was gone. So I took this place on with just 2 floors and no stairs, and so it was fun, built when you've got very little money, first business and all that, and you have to be creative. And so I took that on and just built it mostly with secondhand furniture and everything you can kind of scrounge. I went to a school and asked them if they had any old furniture. So I went into the basement, and they had all the old school tables and chairs and so on. And I kind of took the pick out of some of those bits of furniture, and you kind of go from there. But it was great. It was a really good experience starting that, and it was running for about 12 years, and so that was kind of my first foray. But when I started in the trade, I'd actually never even worked in a pub before. So
Wow.
my opening night was the first time. Well, I'd never poured a pint before, so that was it was self-taught. But I did get people to work with me who had worked in a pub, so I kind of did all the finances and the design and the build, and then just worked, and got friends of mine to help teach me the cocktails, and we went from there. But it was really good. Tough start, but then it got very successful, and we had some really good years. I've certainly seen town Huddersfield in various states of up and down in how it's been. I came to Huddersfield for university back in '96 till 2000, 99, so 96 to 99. So that's how I how I got to know the town, because I'm actually I grew up in Hampshire, in Winchester.
I know Hampshire. So
a bit of a change, but and then I was in various things, telecoms and all sorts. But like many young men, always had a hankering to run a bar.
I was the same, I always fancied it.
Yeah, and then some tough times in telecoms. I was working in London at the time, and everyone was getting laid off left, right, and centre. There's massive changes, and so everyone's like, "Oh my God, we're going to lose our jobs." So you start thinking, "What am I going to do?" And I just thought, "What the hell? I'm going to go and open a bar in Huddersfield." I couldn't afford to do it in London, and I had lots of friends in Huddersfield, and the concept has always been pretty simple to me, really, which is just try to make it not really. You're not aiming at a trend. The first bar was very much so we had a lot of music, good beer. I'd worked a bit around Europe, in Sweden and Germany, so I'd kind of seen some good beer outside of the UK, and so I thought, get some good beer, get some good music on. How hard can it be? And so I turns out it is hard.
Yeah, I think we all we've all certainly learned that one.
Yes, yeah. You don't start this thinking you can just work a 40-hour week. I don't know if I've ever worked a 40-hour week since, but it's good. Lots of learning. You've got to be willing to learn. You've also got to be willing to put your hand to everything, which I like, to be honest. It's definitely it's something that I like, to be involved in everything, hands on, and you have to problem solve. That's something I'm good at, and I think you need to be a problem solver when you're running your own business. But so I ran that for, let's say, that was going for a good number of years, and I did a few other venues. I opened up a little venue in Hunferth called the Winking Stag.
Oh, I know the Winking Stag.
Yeah, that was an old. That's a site that used to be a bar, but it closed up. So kind of I went and had a look, and again just kind of just ripped everything out, and it's only tiny. Have you been, John?
Yeah, I've been to the Winking Stag. Yeah, lovely place. It's very nice. Got a question here from Simon from the Real Ale Craft Beer channel. He said, Have I visited your bar? I went to Huddersfield and drank in a lot of pubs in 2013. So which one did you have at that point?
Well, it was Zephyr. It would have been there just towards right the end of its life, on King Street. So the bottom of King Street, the little black bar. In fact, it's just been reopened. Someone's taken on now, called Umbrella.
If you went down the main street, Simon, where it was a Lloyd's bar, wasn't it? At the bottom, and then there was another. What was the other bar across the road?
God, there's been a few. It's Slung and Lettuce now.
Yeah, so you were just above where Lloyd's bar was.
Yeah, they're next door.
You can see the spiral staircase in the front. It's still there, isn't it? The spiral staircase.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's its access to upstairs.
Yeah, and Beer Wonder says he said Winchester is just up the road. So he's
fantastic. Oh, it's a lovely place, Winchester.
It's Pompey guy though.
Well, I'm a Southampton through and through. So I've got some songs about Pompey fans, but I won't do them here.
He's a good guy. So now, so you've gone from one bar, you took on another, and now you sold one. Have you still got the other one at this point?
Yeah, I still had. So I took on what now the site I'm in now, which is quite a famous old building called Neverson's, which was a glass and china shop with the curved windows. So it's quite famous for its curved windows, and it was fitted out. It was a china glassware shop, the kind of place you'd go if you're from Huddersfield. You probably know it because it has a long history. It's a place you went for your wedding china. So they sold quite fancy stuff, as far as I believe, for a long time, from the mid 30s, all the way up to like 2008. I think they closed. So it's a lovely old building inside, so much character, fitted out in the kind of Art Deco style, which is what appealed to me because I do love old, interesting architecture, working with stone and wood and things like that. I do have a penchant for that kind of for anything really. Lots of, I mean, there is some modern architecture, but there is also lots of bad stuff too. But it's lovely. It's very distinctive. It stands out in the town. and so, but it was all boarded up and closed when I had a look at it. So I did actually originally take it on with Zephyr being open. And I ran it for just a short period of time as a fine dining restaurant, which was a very different challenge, but quickly found out that although it was well regarded and we had some very, very good chefs working there, even some Michelin star chefs doing guest nights and so on, Huddersfield, the market wasn't there for it.
Yeah.
The clientele needed for that kind of venue, they are in Huddersfield, but then they don't want to come into the town centre.
True.
You know, the people who prepared spend that kind of money and want that kind of thing want to go somewhere on the outskirts, some of the nice villages that we have. You know, so it's it didn't work. But and then when at that point I had been struggling with landlord issues for some time at my first bar, and so it actually made perfect sense to leave, which, although very sad, because I had some great times there, but you know, times change, and I kind of closed and reopened, and kind of brought the brand up. It's a different venue. We do different things. The previous one was very much along. We did lots of live music, which the new one doesn't really suit. But it did have a kitchen, so we could actually, where the other place we didn't do food, this place, it opened up the possibility of serving food, which is what we do now. Lots of homemade pizzas, burgers, simple but good. So, and it's a nice kind of add-on to serving good beer and cocktails.
I feel that you're playing down how nice the bar is inside. Zephyr inside as a venue is beautiful. It's full of character. It's got wood paneling and lovely plush leather chairs and fancy hanging lights, and it's got a real nice, almost like it is the 1940s Art Deco feel to it. It really is lovely. It's a lovely bar. So what happened? So you said something interesting, which is about the town centre, and this is, I think Huddersfield maybe has it worse than some, but I remember one of the reasons I moved to Huddersfield. I lived in Clackheaton when I first moved to Yorkshire. I went to all the different places, and I really liked Huddersfield town centre because it was buzzing, and there were loads of bars, there was restaurants, there were new businesses everywhere. It had everything for shopping. There was every kind of shop you could ever imagine. Plenty of banks, estate agents, all the stuff that you need was all there. And now, when you walk through it, there's more boarded up shops, and it's a mess, isn't it?
God, where do you start? It's tough. But the thing is, this isn't just Huddersfield. You know, I think it's across the board, really, isn't it? I totally agree. When I came to Huddersfield, I saw it back in the late 90s. Again, it was very different then. The university was already becoming a key part of the town. In fact, the university's been probably the most successful thing the town has had to help transform it. But back then, there was half the town as a student you weren't welcome to go into. I mean, you didn't. We called it random bar night. So basically, what it is, you're almost daring yourself to go into bars that weren't really student friendly. Now, it's the opposite. I bet there's probably a place that wouldn't be welcoming to students now. But back then, it was, there was definitely areas of town that weren't student friendly. Back in the mid 90s, but so when I came back, I did have fond memories, and in my head I was like, there's a lot of potential for the kind of independent bar that I wanted to run. and there was the only place that I knew in town that was good. That was really kind of along the lines of what I wanted to do was Vox Bar. That opened a year before I opened Zephyr. So I'd go in there, and so I was living in London, and I'd come up and visit friends, and I was like, wow, look, this is great. This is fantastic. So it gave me hope that the kind of thing I wanted to do would definitely work. So I found a site on King Street, and and really where we went, and honestly, during the next 10 years. I mean, town was crazy. I mean, it was fantastic. The atmosphere. We would have queues to get in. Some nights during the week, you'd feel like you were on somewhere in Spain. Midweek, the streets would be packed. Midweek, Wednesday nights, packed, absolutely packed. And the number of bars over the next 10 years tripled.
Wow.
When I opened up, I think there was just Wetherspoons and Yates's, and that was it. And then you suddenly start to get kind of new bars opening, and so it took about 4 or 5 years, and suddenly you were just seeing new ones pop, 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 pop. As the university got more established and bigger, and it was fantastic. And you got the media centre. People were like me, were going to university and staying in Huddersfield, and working in Manchester, working in Leeds. Not quite so much Sheffield because it's a big of a train journey, but definitely Manchester and Leeds. Many people would work in both those cities, but live in Huddersfield. Because you had a good nightlife on your doorstep. You had easy access by the train. It was busy, and it was half the price of living in those cities. So you
that was for us. It was the fact that it had a really good nightlife, and it just had a nice vibe. People were nice, friendly, and it just started to take a bit of a dip, didn't it?
Yeah, but don't forget, you had the recession, you had the banking crash, and suddenly that changed everything. A lot of people were had more disposable income than they'd had for a long time. Your house prices were going up so rapidly, people could just remortgage, and then just play with the money. I mean, it was, you just notice it probably took I felt like it took a couple of years after the banking crash for it really to start biting in town, and then then it's never recovered. So it's just kind of gradually dipped, and now it's a bit of a sorry state, really. It's a shame, and you can't just blame any one party. It's hard. You can't just blame the council. You can be critical, but this is the same across so many towns and cities. If you haven't got, we don't have a massive office working population, so it's hard to keep competing with the Leeds and Manchesters for things.
Saying that, I wouldn't want to own an office right now.
Well, no, but it's
another problem, isn't it?
And again, yeah, exactly. It's a whole new problem. I mean, one thing in thinking about this chat tonight, something that came to my thinking was the old rules of survival of the fittest don't really apply anymore, because you could be an extremely well-run business in hospitality, very, very well-run, very successful, really got your market down, and you're blown out of the water now. Through absolutely nothing that you've done. You could have everything nailed down, and if you've got a nightclub now that you ran to an inch of its life, at the moment you're dead.
Yeah. I mean, as a brewery, this week is a classic example. I thought this was coming. I predicted it, and it's happened. As soon as the furlough and it started to drop after the Eat Out to Help Out. When that stopped, the sales just started to fall down. And what we did, we did a deal for cheap beer, and we were really busy. To be honest, we ran out of stock. So we were really brewing to catch up, and I kind of thought, I've got a slight concern that when this stops and people aren't getting free food or free drinks, they're not going to go out. And that's exactly, it started to slow up. And then on top of that, once that started to slow down, we found that our sales started to slow down a bit, and the wholesalers shrunk some of their orders that they were taking out. And then this week, no one's ordered any beer at all. No, not a single barrel of beer has gone anywhere. And that's the first time that's happened to us in, gosh, I would say probably 2 or 3 years. It's just
heartbreak. Yeah, I mean, even you can prepare yourself, but nothing prepares yourself when it actually happens. I mean, that the sinking pit in your stomach when you go, whoa, okay, is this just 1 week? I mean, we have to hope that there's going to be a rebalance again. I mean, obviously, it won't. It obviously won't be able to go close to what we used to do, or even what we were doing a few weeks ago. It's going to dip, but we have to hope that there's a panic and and everyone takes a breath, and then people adapt, change when they go out slightly, go out a bit earlier on a weekend. But we know this is going to be 6 months, which are going to be very tough. I mean, there's no doubt that if you can't trim your costs to the bare minimum for the next 6 months, you're going to struggle to come out of this.
Well, I mean, the only thing. So I was waiting on Rishi's announcement. I'm sorry, I'm looking here. My camera's here, but you're down here somewhere. So I always look like I'm looking at the floor, but the camera's there. I was waiting for Rishi's announcement today, and I watched it. And I don't know what I expected, but I remember when he announced the first one and feeling some relief, he's not going to let us go to the dogs. But this one didn't feel quite as comprehensive. However, because for us personally, we've already come to the decision that we're probably not going to sell a lot. So we've got an idea of what we want to do to restructure. But the main thing, one of our biggest costs sort of where we are is staff. So the fact that we've probably got a third tops of work to be able to give people. So actually, it's not that bad for us, and it will carry us through the next 6 months. But we'll still make a huge loss. I mean, it'll be tens of thousands. So the only thing that we decided, we made a conscious decision today that we would move the next brews that we're doing. We'll can all of it, every bit. We're not going to put any in cask or keg at all. But I do think if now people have I'm hoping, should I say, that now that people are feeling a bit more secure about their wages and they're coming off furlough and they've actually their position in their work's probably going to be all right for a bit, that they'll keep spending and they'll keep ticking along. Spice and Eazy has put it, a lot of businesses will go down the pan.
Yes. I think that they obviously didn't want to support businesses that had no chance of coming back. I get that. It's how far do you go with this, because you don't know when the vaccine is going to come, if it comes. We just don't know. So how long do you support businesses that have got no chance at all? Which is why with this, literally, if you haven't by now really drilled down your costs in your business and worked out what your real bottom line is, then you're going to be struggling. And you have to make a decision. Can I get through this? Can I tick along? I mean, I think, like I said, I think there's still going to be some demand, but as is proven, people still want to have a drink. People with the eat out, look how incredibly successful that was. Now, it's amazing, what people will do for half-priced food, but it showed that you give them a good, what they feel like is a good deal, they'll come out, and they'll come out in masses, like I've never seen it. I mean, it was crazy. So
that was very clever. It was a clever thing to do.
So it shows that it can, even when people are, scared to come out, you can get people to come out. But yeah, a lot of businesses will go because there is only going to be a small amount of trade. Our hours are cut again. It's going to hurt me very much. I would say busy all the way through up until about 1 o'clock. Tables busy, so I'm losing. Well, now you're stopping serving at 9:30, so you're losing 2.5. I'm losing 3.5 hours of trade. It's.
Do you think people will open earlier or go out earlier?
Well, let's be honest. You have to hope.
It's true. It's true.
I mean, my weekday. I mean, I've gone part-time hours anyway because, again, I had to make a decision. My lunchtime trade was very much office worker base.
Right.
There isn't any now. It's so you make a decision. Okay, well, I need to there's no point being open for 3-4 people or whatever you might have. So you have to. I worked out that the only chance I have is to staff when I've got people in that building, when I've got people in, even if it means doing what I've hated and never done before, which is just I've always been pretty much a 7-day man, where you've got you open as much as you possibly can. Now it's the opposite. It's get your costs down and just be open when you've got people in, and negotiate like crazy with your main costs, rent. Work with your staff and hope that that you can bring your key ones with you.
Well, yeah, that's it.
And see where you are.
Well, I mean, you just got to get creative. I think that's probably the main thing. You told me about something yesterday, like a local delivery service similar to Deliveroo.
That's right. Yes.
And I contacted them, and we're the first brewery to go on it.
Brilliant. There you go. So that's
going on it. Yeah.
And it's it's a nice idea. It's a nice slightly different take on your main players, because my problems with the main delivery companies is, apart from the cost, is it's dominated by the chains. So this is a delivery company that is all about working just with the independents, small businesses. So which is what we are, and that that's the biggest hope. I mean, out of this, chains are going to be dropping left, right, and centre. They're going to be closing their stores left, right, and centre. They're because they have a cost base. And when they're not hitting these levels of turnovers that we're doing, the interest will just drop for them.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
so the future for towns like Huddersfield has always been independence. It should always be aiming to try and get, because it's never big enough to draw in all the big change. You're never going to have department stores and. Even if they were still in demand, which it's dropping off, isn't it? You can't compete with the cities, so you need to try and harness the independent businesses of all types to get to show it's different. It's people who've got a passion about what they're doing, to get people to come back into town centres and so on.
Well,
And that's the only hope, really.
Yeah, well, you were part of a project, weren't you, recently, where there was a lot of talk of hopefully doing something in the town centre, but I don't know, where's that at? Is it kind of died a death?
It's on hold.
Yeah.
So,
can you blame him though?
no, not really. Not really.
I don't know.
As always, these things. I think what's for people watching, it was to do a similar, a kind of box park like Spark, if you know it, in York. So in Huddersfield, so a container park, and again focusing on small local Huddersfield area businesses. So it's quite flexible. Could be interchangeable. Because there's actually, but there's quite a few really good small breweries and small food producers and so on around Huddersfield. There's some really good ones. So, and then bringing in other skills, little handcraft jewelry and things like this, all around this kind of this creative hub. But as always with these things, you're trying to find a suitable area to then get the investment. And right now, with the corona, even though we're trying to do something with an indoor-outdoor space, it's tough, isn't it? Because you can't get. It's not just getting the investment. It's getting something that people can safely use in numbers.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, and also like they're saying about table service, a lot of people are having to get extra staff in, but their numbers are already down, so they can't actually make it work anyway. So I had a bar ring me today. Lovely guy, genuinely a nice bloke, successful. And he was like, "Oh, I don't know what to do. I'm running out of money. I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep going." And I said, "Well, let's do the maths on it." And when we did the maths, I was like, "There's no way you can make any money at all. It's impossible." Yeah. So you need to sit down and put your emotional side of wanting to keep the business going and like whatever else and what you've built and go, right, if I take out a loan, I'm still going to lose money. So do I call it a day now and not have that debt as well?
Absolutely.
Or do I limp it on and I think it'll get any better? I said, do you see it getting any better soon? And he was like, no. And I said, right, so if you borrowed, and it was quite a big figure that you needed to make it work, I said, that would get you to maybe Christmas. And I said, what's to say that at Christmas we're not locked down even more? Then what are you going to do? So he was like, this is really depressing. I was like, I know, but like, I just don't want you to come out with a load of debt and have lost your business as well. At the point that he was at, he could have just walked away and it wouldn't have cost him anything. So I said, if it my advice and you can do it and you're not going to, there's no way of you making any money there, then you need to walk away. And so, I think he's walked away today. I think he just said, right, I can't do it.
Well, yeah, because I mean, there's not going to be a bump at Christmas. We can't have a bump because we're not allowed to get the numbers in. There'll be no change this year. You need to work out: can you basically break even and pay your bills and give yourself something to live on for 6 months?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Spice and Easy's put, do you find Stoptober affects you as well? I didn't even know Stoptober was a thing. Dry January
definitely does. That's the worst. Yeah, that's the worst one. Yeah, that is definitely a tough month. I mean, in the trade, we tend to say that for the business of December, it's all undone by having no trade at all in January and February. So it all evens out really. But I see. What's that? Beer Wonder. Do you see? Well, eat out was. I mean, it was a good thing. It gave you, apart from the fact that it did get you busy. I mean, what places found was they were insanely busy if you were doing food on the early week, and then you were quieter for the rest of the week. But overall, you were up, but the thing was it got people back into the habit of coming out, or just breaking through if they were nervous about coming out. Obviously, that was before we realised we were going to have to re-lock down again. So, if it happened before, it can happen again.
Yeah.
But really, all of this hinges on the vaccine.
Well, yeah, it's true.
Yep. As Simo's asking there, the issue with the rule of six, early closing, what's the end game, when's it stop? Well, yeah, it's all about a vaccine, because otherwise, what we're doing in the minute, all the lockdown doesn't get rid of it. It just slows it down. That's all we're doing, is slowing it down, dragging it out. There's no guarantee that over a long period of time you won't get ill again, even if you've had it once. I mean, I think it's a tough one in terms of how far do you go with this, because obviously if you locked everything down too much and smash our economy to bits, that's what pays for everything else. And most people won't get too badly ill. There'll always be exceptions. But it obviously, everybody's going to be meeting up with older people at some point, unless we lock them away, which isn't feasible. So, God, if we don't have a vaccine in the next year, I guess we're going to have to rethink.
Well, this is it. It's a different. Yeah, I think we've just got to chop it up and try and work it out. Window beer review with Thomas. Really sorry to tell you, but there's no chance of a vaccine. Maybe if you're lucky, the end of next year. I've heard exactly the same thing, and also I've heard a lot of people that are like, "I'm not taking it. There's no way I'm taking it. It's too risky." And I'm like,
I'm not sure I'm not quite sure what they're talking about. The risk is. It hasn't been released yet. No vaccine's been released yet, and I think they'll be desperately trying to test it. There's a lot of crazy conspiracy theories out there. Vaccination is a good thing. Vaccination has been a medical marvel throughout mankind and has saved us from millions of deaths. So I really don't understand why people would be anti-vaccine. I think if we stopped all vaccines now, we would be in a sorry state.
Well, there is that. Spice and Eazy has got to go off and do editing. So Spice and Easy's they do like spice mixes for curries and stuff like that. It's really
cool. Fantastic.
No, it's quite cool.
Hence the chili.
Indeed. And Lee W, who is in Leeds, an avid fan of the channel.
I can tell. Yep.
He's a legend, isn't he? What's your put? We have at least got some fight with canning your beers. People will always buy beer if they can't go to the pub. That's what I'm betting on, because that's all I've got to bet on. What's your business model? Put it in a can.
Put it in a can.
That's it.
Get it and then just get it to people.
Man. I mean, for yourself with Zephyr, it's quite a big venue as well. So how many people can you hold
now? The capacity is straight. I mean, it's halved. So that's at best.
So if you halve it and then you've got less drinking time. Oh, I did see a comment further earlier on. I didn't put it up actually. I think I might have missed it. David Whiteley put the guys at work I work with are all planning to go out earlier. So I think there's a lot of people that are prepared to go earlier. It's difficult. What's it? I tell you what, if it means I can go out and see my family and friends again, I'll be the first one to have the bloody vaccine.
Absolutely, Simon. My God, I mean, it makes no sense to me. If they say that they think that they're happy, it's safe, and potential side effects are minute. I think it'd be crazy not to. We have to, it's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I'd certainly be taking it. I worked in the pharmaceutical sector and talking to people who are working on vaccine, just saying they can't get anything conclusive. Interesting.
Right.
Evening, Josh Edwards.
Evening, Josh.
How you doing? Yeah, we've got a lot of good people in here. We've got Simo, David Whiteley, Lee W. We had Simon from Real Ale Craft Beer earlier. We've got Beer Wonder. We've got Thomas. Window Beer Reviews with Thomas. There's also somebody called, I'm sure there's a Thomas Beer Reviews as well. There's loads of you good people on there. Simo. Welcome to the Madhouse. Question. Where do we... So we get the vaccine. What's going to happen then? Everybody, let's assume
everybody runs to the pub. That's what happens.
Do you think that will be what happens?
Well, I mean, I think you're going to be fighting with. Again, I mean, you're talking about whatever length of time. I mean, you see how mentally people have been affected from a 3-month lockdown. In another 6 or 9 or it's going to be a lot of mental problems, a lot of issues, trying to get people. You're going to get obviously those people who don't care and are just dying to get out. But I think it could be a real job of rebuilding people's confidence. I think the biggest job is going to be making sure people go. I mean, you hear some awful statistics about the number of cancer appointments missed.
Yeah, that's horrendous.
It's getting, it's keeping people doing the important things in all the other health aspects, so that doesn't get absolutely, because that could be a bigger problem in itself.
I mean,
people need to not feel so scared that they don't go to their to checkups and to the hospital and so on. I think that's vital, because I mean that's just a time bomb for down the road. Forget about pubs and so on. I did see that the number of people smoking has dropped dramatically, which is a good thing.
Well, I guess there's that element of you want to be as fit as you can possibly be.
Yeah.
I think what's important to remember from this is that beer is an antiseptic. Shameless plug.
Well,
David,
we can start drinking honey. That's also
that's going to help you as well. David, are you going to sell 5-litre mini kegs to the Flower Pot in Murfield? Did that successfully? We do sell 5-litre mini kegs, yes, and we have the actual proper filling neck as well, so we can actually do proper kegged beer. Josh Edwards has just finished rugby training at Hall Bower. Going to crack open a double punk, so he'll have a headache in the morning. If you get the vaccine, I can see it becoming a mandatory thing if you want to get into places where people gather in masses. There is one thing out of this that makes me very nervous. So I agree that that's what will happen. So I think they'll do something and you'll get something to show that you've had the vaccine. But then of course, it might get forged, or people won't take it, or people won't go to these events. Then we've got these things, which smartwatches and smartphones, and then they've got the new track and trace, and then it's like, well, actually, you've got to show this, and this thing already does my heart rate, and it'll tell me how many steps I've done. It's not a far stretch before it starts going, well, we want to measure your body temperature and that you've been well. And actually, if you want to fly in an airplane or go to a different country, you need to wear this for 2 weeks before you go, and then you show it. And then you go, well, actually, it's not a big jump. Well, actually, you know what? Maybe we'll start putting your bank details just on this now. So then you start funding. And then it's like, well, actually, do you need a watch? Maybe we should just implant it as a chip. And then it just gets weirder and weirder as you get on. And then it's all right until you get a dictator or somebody a bit crazy at the top. Then you're stuffed. That's my worry. That's my long-term worry with it.
Blimey. Well,
I've got to
a lot of things can happen between now and then. So I think I'd just be happy that they can, that if we get a vaccine, rather than worrying about, I mean, if you're worried about too much information and data, I think those days are already long gone.
Yeah.
If you're in a smartphone, you've already pretty much given up everything. It was making me laugh when they were talking about the worry about the track and trace app with the government and what they can do with this information. I thought, do you really know how much information? Do you have a smartphone? If you do, you've got nothing to worry. Well, you've already given up all your information
anyway. Yeah.
So
not only that, everyone panics, but they can get your fingerprints from a photo now. Anyway,
they can get.
Because the cameras are so good, they've had the tech for ages. If your hand's out, they've been nicking rioters out in America because they've been able to see a hand, and they've zoomed in and they've got fingerprints.
And got the finger off blimey.
Of the photos, yeah. Window Beer Reviews with Thomas has asked, how do you think the government in England, so Thomas is in Ireland, has handled COVID-19? I mean, my opinion is they could have done some things a lot better, but then if it was me in charge, I don't know what I'd do. I don't know how much better I could do it. I mean, it's a bit like football. I'm not a footballer, and I know nothing about football, but I see a lot of people that also have never played, and they know everything about football. They're like, I know everything about football. That guy is wrong. They're paying some bloke £100,000 a year because he's got a track record, but they know that he's wrong. And I think it's very easy. And now we've got hindsight as a sort of extra element to go back and say, well, I think they did it all terrible. I mean, I think that some stuff was rubbish. I think some stuff was good. I heard what other countries did, and we were a lot better off than a lot of other countries. So there was some really bad stuff I heard where people they were like, there's $4,000, good luck. Off you go. That was it.
Some people wouldn't like that, but because not everyone got advantage of furloughs and so on. Do I think they did a good job? It's easy in hindsight and all that. I think that the biggest problem that I've got with how the government have handled things and continue to handle things is just believability and trust. I think that repeatedly over the last year or so, well, probably really, it's run on from Brexit into this. You can't trust them. They let themselves down time and again.
But when have we ever, in all of history, to trust a politician?
Well, this is I agreed. The problem is that at a time when you really need to trust what they tell you to do, to then instinct. Well, look how well. Okay, so when we had the first lockdown, people really did take it on board. They really did. You know, the vast majority of people did it. They put aside. I think people put aside politics to a degree, and went, "Yep, I can see why," and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna follow it. But where we are now, one of the reasons why people aren't listening as much now or haven't been, is because they don't trust and they don't believe, and they see. I mean, we go back to Dominic Cummings, is a classic example. It may be overused, but it's absolutely apt, because if it's okay for him to have interpret the rules his own way, then why not me?
That was just bad.
It's awful. I mean,
Like,
cringingly, embarrassingly bad.
yeah.
But you're not surprised, and then look at the effect. It's just that little. You take away a cornerstone, everything comes back to things like that. Moments like that make a part of history.
To be fair, on him, it wasn't just him doing stupid stuff. There are other MPs. There's ones that went to a wedding with 100 people. Another one that just.
But didn't most of the other ones? I mean, I struggle to remember them all now. But didn't most of them, in the end, have to leave their positions? The Scottish guy, he had to leave his position.
Yeah, no, he did.
The Scottish head of the health department, whatever, the female who was Nicola Sturgeon was relying on, she had to go a few days.
There was a couple of Labour guys, and they never got. They're still MPs.
But you didn't necessarily. Well, I mean, he was the most. It was the most vocal, most visible, and got the okay directly from from the PM. And it was blatant, wasn't it? It was blatant. It was blatant, breaking the spirit of the rules.
It's difficult, and
so if you want people to follow it,
yeah. Well, I think if you're at the top of the tree, you should be leading by example, regardless of whether it's right or wrong. I know there was childcare issues and stuff like that, but even if there was that,
the vision thing, come on.
Well, that's ridiculous. But I'd rather he be honest and say we were just sick of being in the house. It was my wife's birthday, and I broke the rules, and I shouldn't have done it, and I won't do it again. I mean, that would have been better than making up.
There would have been bigger breaks. It's not really the point. The problem is that it really did lay down a marker, which
for people to do whatever they wanted to do. Yeah,
because what it came down to was. The okay was given to interpret the rules your own way. That's so. That's what everyone should stop doing. You know, if you're wavering, well, if it's I'm a father too, and I'm going to interpret the rules my own way.
Well, this is it, and I think, but then see, I've listened to. It's a valid opinion. I listened to a lady this morning who was on Sky. Was it yesterday? It might have been yesterday morning, and she was very vocal. They had her on, and she was saying, "Okay, why are you locking us all down? Why are you doing this? Because the death rate's tiny. The death rate is weeny, weeny, tiny, tiny. So why are we doing all this? It's overkill." And no one would even take any notice. And I'm like, well, I'm a bit of the same opinion. I'm like, well, I know a lot of people. See, it's definitely going up. I believe them 100% that it's going up. There's no doubt. Because before I knew of one person that had caught it. Now I know I could count on my hand probably and fill my hand with people I know that definitely have it. All of those people have recovered, and some of them are not well people, if you know what I mean, and they've all recovered. So I was like, and they've all been at home, and none of them have been in hospital. And I just thought, well, this is odd. So I don't know. I don't know, but I guess it goes back to that not overwhelming our health service with loads of people at once. You know, it might be that all of the people recover, but if you've got 95 people in a ward that only holds 75, you've got a problem, haven't you?
Well, yeah, and that was I mean, I agree with the first lockdown just because we didn't know what was going on. I saw an early video of a hospital in Italy, and it was horrendous.
Oh man, with them squeaky head things.
The what? Sorry.
Those squeaky head vacuum things.
Yeah, and people I mean, they were overwhelmed. It was
horrific.
It was awful. Yeah, and I was like, wow, okay. And in fact, that video, I actually decided to close a week. So a week before the lockdown happened, I felt I couldn't promote having a busy bar anymore. So I'd already decided. So I put out the message, right, I'd rather, I want to do it on my own terms. Next weekend, we're closing. It's going to be our last one. And then a week later, on the Friday night, obviously that day, you're closing tonight. So it was taken out of my hands anyway in the end. But and I totally got that. But it is a bit different now. It is hard now because now we see also you're more aware of the other issues that this brings up, the other health impacts, the other impacts that we have that maybe weren't fully considered at the first time because we were in sheer panic. That we have to also we do have to see and consider. I think going into a full lockdown would be an absolute nightmare. Local lockdowns, I totally understand and agree with. We have to find a way to get through this without locking everything down.
Yeah, well, that I agree totally because we need to be able to at least have some outlet and be able to talk. Even if I don't care if I'm 3 meters away, I can shout and I can hear. But we need to be able to talk to our family and not just do it digitally like we are tonight. We need to do that. And pubs are community hubs in a lot of places. I mean, we're lucky we've got a town, we've got lots of pubs, but they are communities. They're mini communities, and some communities rely on the local pub just as their meeting place on a Friday. Oh, I'll pop in, I'll see Joe and Jack, and then you know what I mean. That's what happens. It keeps, I worked in a pub years ago, and they knew everyone that went in, and there was an old boy, and he didn't turn up on his usual day for his usual thing. They went to his house. They were like, "Are you all right?" "Oh yeah, I had a fall. I'm not very well." So the pub organised to make sure they got him food, and everybody rallied round after him.
Fantastic, yeah, absolutely, lovely.
That's what we could lose. James May from he's bought a pub.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. So come on, he'll make a good publican.
He would. So he's bought a pub. I've been pestering him, but yeah, he's bought a pub because
you sent some beers to try, didn't you?
I did, yeah. So it's called the Royal. Is it called the Royal Swallow? I think it is, and it's an old pub. It's a very old pub, been around for donkey's years, and they basically couldn't reopen because of COVID. They just didn't have the money to get it open again, and so he stepped in and bought it. And good luck to the man. And that's what we need. We need people to step in who've got money and rescue businesses. And if you want to buy my brewery, feel free. My email is not kidding, but yeah, it's a difficult time. It's like I feel like I always seem to have the knack to pick the worst trade in the worst time. It's just like
the best trade in the worst time.
It is a good trade. I love this trade. It's weird and bonkers, and I love it. But it's always stuff going on, isn't there?
Yeah.
But I mean, also another thing that's been going on is the have you heard of the small brewery duty reformation coalition?
Not really.
Right. So what these guys are, they're a list of breweries or a group of breweries, and they are small breweries apparently. And what they've done is they've gone to the government and they've said, you know, that duty relief that you give small breweries, which is 50%, that we had when we were really small, we don't want them to have it anymore. We want it further up. So basically, a whole bunch of I've got the list of breweries.
So is this like mid-sized breweries that have gone?
Yeah, they're
the big boys.
Yeah, they're all your let me find this list. You'll be like, no way. So they're meant to. They're just by definition, they're small breweries. So it's got Timmy Taylor's in it, St Austell's Brewery. It's got Magic Rocker in there.
Right.
Who else have we got on the list? We've got Abnams.
Yeah.
They're a small brewery. Bateman's, Bath Ales, Black Sheep, small brewery. Tiny brewery.
Right. Okay.
Castle Rock, those are little guys. Dartmoor, Fuller's, tiny brewery, London, little place. Holt's, Jennings, JW Lee's, Shepherd and Neame.
Yeah. Wow.
Thwaites.
So what are they asking for? They want the relief also applying to them as well?
No. So what happened was we get 50% off under I think it's 30,000 hectolitres a year. So they said they've all had that and they have
benefited from it. Yeah.
And now they've changed the goalpost because they said we need some of that relief as well. So what they've done is they've dropped it. So in 2022, our relief is meant to drop from, I think it goes from 30,000 hectolitres down to something like, it's tiny. It's weeny. It's less than half. So it means you could only turn over £300,000 before the duty then starts to climb up, and then I've gone all. It's gone out of focus. I'll bring it back. There you go. And then what they've done is they've pulled the duty up to them. Now, apparently, SEBA basically said, no, you leave this part alone, and then you give them some relief as well. But the government said, no, it needs to be tax neutral. So we don't want to give you any money, but spread it out. But they've basically completely shafted all the small breweries. I mean, we are if they do that, we make up 80% of the beer sold in the UK is from small breweries. So it's like they're just trying to close the door behind them.
Well, yeah.
The guy from Timmy Taylor's
closed market, yeah.
Yeah, he makes a point where he says, well, the problem is once you get to that hectolitre amount, it just drops off a cliff and then your cost doubles. And I get that, and I do understand that, and I do think that's a valid reason. However, the only thing that really makes me suspicious about the whole thing is if you go on this, and any of you watching, all 8 of you, go onto the small breweries Duty Reformation Coalition. If you go onto their website, the website's been made by a company that specializes in making political websites. And furthermore, the email doesn't work, nor the phone number. And there's no option to join. Because I was like, I'm a small brewery, I want to join. I sent them an email, nothing. You ring the number doesn't even exist. It's so shifty looking. And this is what I said to Tim from Timothy Taylor's. I said, it's not doing evil, it's the appearance of evil. And he said himself, "Oh yeah, we had one of these ministers up and blah." And I thought, why are you like these guys are schmoozing ministers?
Of course they are. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like what the chuff, like totally trying to just But there was the Twitter sphere went mental, but the general public don't really know about it because it was all done and announced in a way that it's not been given any headline at all, and it just so happened to be done during COVID. Just very odd.
Well, it's a good time to sneak anything under the radar, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like properly.
You need to get all these thousands of actually small breweries together to go to all to then get a minister's attention.
Well, I've started a website. I've started building a website called TBC, True Brewers Coalition.
Right. Okay.
And it's just small breweries. You don't have to be fancy. You don't have to be approved. We don't have to check you. You don't have to pay a membership. You just got to have a brewery. You make beer and you've got an AWRS number. That's all I want. Yeah. And then we'll go and find out about it. We'll go as a group. There's loads of us.
So that comes in 2 years?
2 years, yeah.
God.
Now the thing is, if they did it and let's say they drop it and it's like X amount of hectolitres, and then the following year it's a little less and a little less and a little less, that's fine. I'll roll with that. But it's not. It's not that at all.
It's off a cliff.
Yeah, all they've announced is the first cut, which makes a lot of small businesses like myself not viable if we grow. It doesn't promote any growth at all. And that's the whole point. It's meant to promote growth by staggering that duty relief. But it's mental, absolutely mental. But I will say today, I feel like the government kind of turned its back on hospitality and other businesses that are going to struggle. It certainly feels that way.
But I think the warnings have been there. They don't want to support businesses that aren't going to survive, because you don't know how long you're going to be put. What's the point of spending money supporting a business now if in 6 months' time it's still going to be dead?
Well, yeah, but then, okay, I agree with that. I totally get it. It's taxpayers' money, and I've seen it firsthand. People abusing the 10 grand grants, and they've got a garage here, and they've got this there, and they've claimed multiple times with slightly different business names and all sorts of weird stuff, and buying new cars. And I know somebody.
I think the big one will be these bounce back loans. I think as to whether because I've got one, but I haven't used it, and it's a big way up for me, because if I don't think I will get through this, I won't use it. Why would you put yourself? Why would you put yourself in debt? But get yourself in debt or further debt. If you think you've got a good chance of getting through, and you just need you need a helping hand, or you need a bit of investment, will increase your productivity. All these kind of things, that's different. But I think there's going to be a lot of people that will just be willy-nilly using this money, and then suddenly like, we've got to pay it back. No, sorry, I'm gone.
I have heard of someone buying a Porsche with it.
Oh God, don't. Well, it might be business critical.
We all know that that's unlikely. It's just
very unlikely.
I mean, the future for us as a industry, I guess the future is get that vaccine out, survive until then.
Yep.
Get creative. I mean, Lee, I think we might be turning Zephyr into a bottle shop at this rate.
Well, I've got plenty of shelves.
Yeah.
So that's not a problem. Well, you have to be creative. You have to keep your costs down, be creative, find a way through if you can. But equally, be practical. you know, if in 2-3 months I'm looking at my costs each week, and you know, you're losing thousands of pounds. You do have to start. You do have to go, is this worth hanging on for? Because, you know, even if you had enough money to keep going into for 6 months, you might have used all your capital up. But so every business is going to have to make their own decision. I mean, there is a bit of help now, isn't there? A little bit of help with this additional payment. So if you've got key staff, it's going to cost you less to keep them on.
It'll bring those overheads.
So, but there's no magic bullet right now.
No, not now. Not now. Well, this has been the most.
I need another beer.
Yeah, no, yeah. I said to Lydia before I came on, I was like, this is likely to be quite
a
heavy, dark kind of live stream, because there's nothing really positive to say at this point, and we don't really know. But I do think that this is a really good time capsule, because it'll be interesting in 6 months to watch what we said now and maybe do it again and see.
Well, absolutely. And you do have to look forward and think, okay, there will be positive times again.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There will be a rebirth for this industry. This industry will reinvent itself. But there's going to be a lot of casualties in the meantime.
Well, this is it. I mean, we were running out of money rapidly, and we've had to secure some more money. And my gosh, if we didn't have investors, we'd have been gone now. There's no way. The problem is, breweries, it's a massive numbers game. So it's all about having, unfortunately, to make money, you need to have lots of money floating around, tied around doing stuff. And then we've had real trouble getting the money out of pubs that we've sold to, because they're really struggling, and it's been horrid to have to go and chase them. But you know, most of them have been really lovely. We've been genuinely trying to help them, but then we've had others that some just lied and said they never had it. So then the one thing that's been a saviour for us has been Untapped, of all things, because people, they review the beer and they take a photo of it on the bar.
So they got proof that they had beer there. Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I did it with a couple of pubs, and I said, well, they said, we never had your beer, never had it. I said, you have? I said, we've delivered. No, never had it. I said, right. So then I found the reviews on Untapped with the photos, and then I sent them over. I said, you have had the beer. I said, that's your bar. This is the location. Yeah, I remember now. I was like, oh, do you now? Oh, I thought you might. Well, it's nice that you know. But, I mean, it's only been a few. But the majority are lovely. But it's been awful. You know, you just feel sorry for them. I've had some very sad conversations with people on the phone. Don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And the way I see it is like you, Lee. You've got to just look at it in the cold, hard light of day.
You do, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, because I guess the one thing they've done is by stating a 6-month time period, at least we know what they're talking about. I mean, that's not to say, like I said earlier, that we won't get even more lockdowns. But you know, you're not going to pretend like this is going to be, oh, well, I'll just do it for a month and we'll be okay at Christmas, because it's not going to happen. You got to write off the year and the start of next year. And
yeah.
So we are. So well, you know, it's been a pleasure.
It's been lovely. We had such a nice chat. Just talking about all fun things.
Can we do a happy one next time?
Oh gosh, I hope so. But the positives are, in all this, amazing family time. It's been great getting to know my kids better than I thought I knew them.
Remembering the names and all that.
But yeah, I remembered all their names. It's been nice not rushing like 100 miles an hour, constantly doing deliveries, constantly just everything on top. It's been a bit more chilled. So I've been able to talk to people and go places, and that's been nice. And actually having a brewery during lockdown, I was running around delivering. I was out and about all the time.
Yeah.
I never really stayed in. I think I had a week off at the initial start, and we were turning all the business around online so that we could sell to customers. And the following week, I had a few days where no orders were coming in, and then all of a sudden it just went like that, and it just went mental. And then it was just non-stop delivering all the way through lockdown, and I've been all over the place. Josh Edwards, he's been, that's a good point, Graham. Less fuel money, more beer buying. That's
there you go. A good positivity there, Graham.
yeah. I write off most of 2021. Also, to be honest, not getting any better, sadly.
Oh, Josh is bringing us back down to earth. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, cheers, Josh. Cheers. Right up there. Well, he's got a point. 2021 is going to be a recovery year, and I think things will pick up back again. What will happen, my guess, they clearly don't want the economy to fail. So our country is predominantly based on a spending kind of economy. So this is not technical economics with John. We saw in 2008 when people stopped spending, they had money but they stopped spending. That's when we got into trouble because the economy just ground to a halt. So if they keep public spending up, which they appear to be doing, and keeping people with money and keep them spending and people feel secure, they'll continue ordering stuff and the money will just keep cycling around and we'll all do okay. It's what they did in Australia in 2008 and their economy recovered a lot faster. So if they do the same here, I think 2021, I can imagine them saying, right, we're going to give everybody 500 quid or something like that, just to boost it and get people spending. So, we're not out the water, as it were, but I think they're clearly shown today that they don't want us to fail. They don't want public spending to stop. They don't want people to get frightened. So that's one positive.
Yeah, I mean, the people are still spending on, they're buying toilet rolls. So that's not going to stop, is it? Panic buying.
No, it's true. Just put, sorry guys, positive vibes only. Lords are some of the best beer I've had in Yorkshire. The Expedition Blonde is lovely. Looking forward to another delivery or keg in the near future. Well, Josh, we have many beers coming out in can in 440 mils. We've got our Pilsner coming back out in 330s. And we're bringing out Roy, our cranberry pale ale, in a 440 ml can, and Sunset Cocoa, which is a chocolate orange porter.
Mm-hmm.
Both of which we've heavily adjusted the recipe.
Okay.
Because it wasn't loud enough. We liked it, but it just wasn't loud enough. And we stupidly sent. I don't know why we did it. I think we were just pushed for time. We sent some of the kegs out to be filled, and we had ones that were flat, ones that were just mental. Well, you had one, didn't you? And it was just
your first batch.
It was ridiculous. And then all our other stuff that we've done ourselves has been spot on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
it tasted great in bottles. So when your cans getting done then, your new cans?
So there's two beers at the canning plant as we speak, and we have the next 5 or 6 are being brewed. I think tomorrow they're brewing one of them. I think they're doing a chocolate orange tomorrow.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, it is nice. It just wasn't orangey enough. It had all the chocolate and the velvety texture, but just not enough orange. So they've tweaked it this time. They've found something way better. It's going to be super orangey.
Amazing. Well, my girlfriend's will be very happy. She is a chocolate orange fiend.
Oh,
yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's great. Well, we look forward to that. We'll get some we'll get some in the bar and at home. But look forward to tasting. Oh, and when's the saison coming out?
The saison, so we've put it into bottles and we have some to go into mini kegs. We are just waiting on labels. So we've ordered labels, but what we said is, look, we don't want loads because it's just a one-off random. And can you just tag it on the back of something else? There's no mad rush. So we haven't seen them as yet. And I designed the label. I got a bit carried away with all the colours. I just went bonkers. I'm not a graphic designer at all. I just don't want to spend any money on it. So
no, it's a one-off. It's fine.
It's very strange.
Is it?
It's very strange. I mean, like, it tastes proper farmhouse weird.
Okay.
Like, it's very. If you went to a barn and somebody said, "Hey, I've made this beer in my barn, and I couldn't find any yeast, so I threw some wood in it," that is exactly what it tastes like.
Right.
It's very strange.
Wow. Okay.
It tastes like it's a proper saison, as real as it gets. So yeah. So lovely people. I think we've thoroughly depressed all of you now.
Sorry.
This is actually a very short live feed. Normally they go for 4 hours, something like that.
Blimey.
Yeah, so I won't torture you any longer. Yeah, so it's been lovely to have you on.
Nice having me.
Thank you for telling us your story, and we will no doubt be constantly working together in the future. I think we'll
definitely, yeah,
keep going, won't we?
We've got to, haven't we?
Can't give up. Can't give up.
Yep, all good.
And just think on the other side of this, how strong we'll be as people and as business owners.
Yeah, everyone will have been severely tested by this, so we'll definitely you find new strengths. But it's we'll get there. We'll definitely be, like you said, be good to do another one when hopefully there's a bit of good news. But the thing with this situation is it changes all the time, so quick. A week later, it's all changed again, isn't it? So,
well, this is it. Yeah, I think hopefully after the announcement this weekend will be all right. Actually, I think people will just come out a bit earlier, and I'll let you know on Monday if I'm getting beer orders again.
Yeah, hopefully I won't get a depressed phone call going, I can't believe it, nothing again. So it'll pick up. You'll get some again. It's a little bit of a jolt, and people are just now waiting, aren't they?
Yeah,
probably going, I'll just stick with what I've got this week, and then
that people are going to go to the pubs just because it's the only place that they can socialise and sit down and talk together.
Yeah, well, at least we are still open.
Yeah,
we're not.
It's a show.
Okay, it's 10 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock. I mean, do you remember when I first opened? It was only 11 for many years. 11 o'clock. It was it. So if you look at it like that, it's not a world of difference. It's just we just have to readjust for a while.
Yeah, no, it's true. I will definitely be coming in for a pint at some point. I might even see you tomorrow.
Right. Oh well, you know where we are. Come down for a tea time pint.
Yeah, I think I will. I'm going to bring a mate of mine's like, I just want to go out for a beer. And I was like, yeah, all right, I know a place. So we'll come and see you. And well, we certainly won't run out of any Pilsner. You'll be fine for Pilsner now.
We've still got some left. Yeah, we've got. It's a very fine. Like I said, the Pilsner has been a big success. As you know, I've been ordering it from you every week now for some weeks. I'd always have a Peroni on, and so I have take it, and it's been a popular one for many years. And I thought, but I really, as with everything else, if you find a good local alternative, absolutely, yours is a good local alternative, and I would say I've had, it's gone down very well. So I've to the point where I've taken off the Peroni and we've just got your Pilsner on, and 90% of the people have been happy. So well done. It's good. So come and have a good Pilsner tomorrow night.
I will.
Right.
Lee, thank you very much. We've got
Enjoy the rest of your evening, everybody. And
Graham says, cheers, gents. This tailored to the stars. He is a tailor. It's but I am that drunken tailor.
Fantastic.
We'll have to. I need you to order someone. It comes in, and you need to send us a photo of you being a tailor and being drunk with the tailor with the beer in hand. Then we got Window Beer review with Thomas says thanks for the stream, and fair comment. Fair comment.
Yep, nice one, Josh.
Well, it's been lovely. Thank you, everybody, and I'll speak to you all soon.